During the whole of World War II, the Germans kept a keen interest in securing Italy as one of their friendly forces. Adolf Hitler made every effort to establish a relationship with another dictator, Benito Mussolini, and finally succeeded in convincing him to declare war on June 10, 1940, just as France was on the verge of defeat. This may have been a touch late, but for that matter, better late than never. When World War II first broke out, very few people could have accurately forecast the scale of the conflicts that would follow. However, many would agree that the Italian Royal Air Force and their bomber plane was poised to play a significant, if not pivotal, role for the war to come. During the 1930s, Italian aviation was largely viewed as among the best in the world. Many of Italy's aircraft turned in strong performances during the many air races and air cruises that were popular during the era. The performance of the aircraft which were used for these tests was thoroughly measured, despite the fact that they were flown with no passengers and no cargo aboard. Given such circumstances, the Italian aircraft were rather spectacular. Yet, this led to a whole host of fallacies about the country's value as a military partner, and this would only be proven by the links. It had twin engines, was made entirely of metal, and could seat 2 crew members. It was the Italian version of the German Bf-110, a heavy fighter that could not only withstand, but also dish out a tremendous amount of damage. The Warbird, while having a design that showed a lot of promise, is regarded as a huge failure. But why? The genesis of this warplane began in 1936, when the Italian Air Force Regia Aeronautica requested the creation of a new twin-engine multi-purpose aircraft. This innovative design for an airplane was supposed to be capable of reaching a maximum speed of at least 470 kilometers per hour. Heavy weaponry was also requested, which would have to satisfy the requirements of 2 to 4 machine guns measuring 12.7 millimeters or 2 20-millimeter cannons. It was required to have an operating range of 2,000 kilometers and to be able to reach a height of 20,000 feet in roughly 9 minutes. In addition to this, the cockpit needed to have a clear vision in every direction. Officials from the Italian Air Force extended an invitation to all aviation enterprises in Italy to submit their ideas for the development of a new multi-role design. In response to this request, many different businesses proposed their own ideas. These included the IMAM RO-53, Fiat CR-25, Bonomi BS-25, Chiodi CH-2, and the Breda Ba.88. The Breda was picked as the competition's winner because it showed the greatest potential, at least on paper. Soon after, work on the first prototype got underway. Antonio Parano and Giuseppe Panzeri were put in charge of leading the team that was tasked with developing the machine. The design of the tail and fuselage was inspired by an older Breda model, the single-engined BA-75, with which it shared some characteristics, such as the design of the tail and the fuselage. Autumn of 1939 saw the completion of the first Ba-88 prototype, which was given the codename MM-302. In October, a young test pilot by the name of Furio Nictoldoglio got the ball rolling on a series of flying trials. During this initial testing, it was noticed that the aircraft might have significant weight problems. Despite this, development proceeded. That's because on one of the flying tests, Furio Nictol was able to reach an average speed of 518 kilometers per hour during a route that spanned 100 kilometers from Fiumicino to Rainca to Anzio. This was in fact a record for the fastest speed ever achieved at the time. Despite being planned to be multifunctional, the 88 ended up being a ground assault aircraft that was made entirely of metal, with a high wing and 2 engines. The fuselage was built by using welded chrome molybdenum steel tubes. The general design of its fuselage could be broken up into 3 distinct sections: the front nose part, the lower section that housed the bomb bay, and the longer segment that covered the rest of the aircraft. The whole frame of the fuselage was covered with sheets of duralumin, which were secured in place using longitudinal stringers, rivets, and bolts. The wings were also made using chrome molybdenum tube spars held in place by tube beams. After that, these wing plates were clad with sheet metal to finish the structure and were attached to the fuselage using conical wrist pins and bolts. The first working model included a conventional single vertical tail assembly. However, this was ultimately replaced with a new and improved tail unit that featured a pair of fins and rudders. The prototype was driven by 2 Fraschini K14 engines, each capable of producing 900 horsepower. In the production model, there were 2 Piaggio P11 RC40 14-cylinder radial piston engines that combined for a total output of 1,000 horsepower. The cockpit of the Ba.88 featured a more or less conventional configuration and was equipped with a rear sliding canopy. The primary armament was made up of 3 powerful Breda Ba.88 machine guns measuring 12.7 millimeters in diameter and carrying 1,250 rounds of ammo apiece. One 7.7 millimeter Breda Ba.88 machine gun with 250 rounds of ammunition being handled by the rear gunner, who also had an extra 250 rounds of ammo in reserve. The bomb bay was semi-exposed and had the capacity to carry a few different bomb load configurations. It could carry either 3 bombs weighing 50 kilograms and 3 bombs weighing 100 kilograms, or 2 bombs weighing 250 kilograms. There was also the option to install 40 small 2-kilogram bombs. Theoretically, the war machine could be equipped with a total bomb load of 1,000 kilograms, but this was never done due to the airframe's weight problems. After outfitting the prototype with the armaments, it became obvious that the structure was overloaded, and it was clear that the Lynx would face extreme difficulty with its performance. The aircraft had been designed with the intention of serving as a heavy fighter aircraft, but it turned into a heavy bomber mid-phase. It had its first taste of battle when it participated in a raid on multiple airfields in France. The Ba.88 equipped squadrons were then sent to the sweltering deserts of Libya, where they fought in very limited combat operations against France. That's because the radial engines of the Ba.88 were not designed to operate in the dry and dusty environment, which meant every effort to use the aircraft in combat was fruitless. After the fiasco in Libya, the remaining of these machines were no longer used in combat, and efforts to modernize them also came to nothing. Between 1939 and 1940, a total of 147 Ba.88 attackers were produced, 25 of which were later modified into Ba.88Ms. The M version did not reach full combat readiness until the day before the Armistice of Casabile was signed. Just 5 months after the start of the war, Breda bombers were repurposed to serve as decoys or bait on airfields and were eventually phased out as bombers entirely. For the new and presumably powerful Breda Ba.88, this was a humiliating and rather sad ending. This action forced Regia Aeronautica to use totally outdated aircraft in North Africa, such as the Breda Ba.65 and Fiat CR32. A powerful air force like Regia Aeronautica was left without a viable heavy fighter. The actual number of battles in which this aircraft has participated is pitifully low, but the machine may have been able to prove its potential to greater advantage under different contexts.